In this video, we'll cover the checkout form layout. You can easily build forms in Angular. They have support for form data binding, validation, and processing. And Angular provides two types of forms. You have reactive forms and also template-driven forms. So with reactive forms, they leverage the programmatic API for form building. It's a scalable solution that's designed for large, complex forms, and the forms can easily be reused and tested. Now for template-driven forms, they're really targeted for small, simple, basic forms. They're not really scalable and not designed for large, complex forms. So in our scenario, we're going to make use of reactive forms because we're going to build a large, complex form that makes use of nested elements, and this is ideal for building real-time applications. Now, for a comparison of reactive forms and template-driven forms, you can go to the link that I have here on the slide. They have a detailed analysis comparing reactive forms and template-driven forms. But again, we're going to make use of reactive forms because we're going to build a large, complex form. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the key components. So you have a form control, so that's an individual control that tracks the value and validation status. And then there's also a form group. It's really just a collection of controls. And you can also create nested groups. And then there's some other items there too. And so the link that I gave you on the previous slide, they go into more details as far as the other items that are out there. But we'll make use of some of the key components, the form control and the form group. So for our checkout form, we'll make use of nested groups. So we'll have a customer group, we'll have a shipping address group, then we'll also have one for billing address, credit card information, and then finally at the bottom of our form, we'll have a section where the user can review their order and then finally purchase. So in this section of videos, we're going to focus on the form construction and layout. Later on, we'll get into populating a form, and then also we'll get into the work of processing the form on the back end. Okay, so in terms of form construction and layout, here's our development process. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll generate our checkout component. Then we'll add a new route for the checkout component. Next, we'll create a new checkout button and link it to that checkout component. Then we'll add support for reactive forms. We'll define the form in our component.ts file. Then we'll lay out the form controls in our HTML template. And then finally, we'll add an event handler for the form submission. Alrighty, step one of generating our checkout component. And this is very easy. We've seen this before. Just use ng-generate component, components/checkout, and it'll create our checkout component for us. Then we add a new route for the checkout component. So in our file, appmodule.ts, we add this new path here for checkout and then component to the checkout component that was just generated in the previous slide. And then in step 3, we're going to create a new checkout button and link to the checkout component. So on our cart details page, where we have all of our cart items, we have a new button here, checkout. And so that'll actually link over to that router link that we just created /checkout. And that'll take us to our given checkout form that we're going to create.